Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino here, and boy, we have a special presentation for you here today because we have gotten back together with one half of the cast of Tough as Nails. The Savage Crew is reunited for a very special edition of Rob Has a Podcast. Very excited to bring in all these people you know and love from the Savage Crew. Also with us today, part of my Savage Crew, Mike Bloom and Jessica Liese are here. Mike and Jess, are you pumped to talk some Savage Crew today?
I've jumped into the damn virtual van and I'm ready to unpack everything that just happened.
I'm repping orange. Some might say, why are we talking Tough as Nails in October? But I feel like the color orange makes so much sense.
Oh, Mike, I didn't even realize that you dressed for this event.
I dress for every event, Rob. I'm professional. I have to come in my work uniform. I compete in every challenge in a work uniform, much like these guys do. Luckily, it's not a firefighter's outfit or a plaid shirt, which is your uniform. But I wanted to dress out for the Savage Crew.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's welcome in our panel here tonight. Let's start with the winner of Tough as Nails. Everybody, Murph is here. Murph, how are you?
Big Murph.
You guys.
Big Murph.
Glad to be here. It's great to see the team again. Haven't seen their faces since February, but we talk almost every week, sometimes multiple times a week. We just got a little group message, so we get each other shout outs, words of encouragement. Definitely miss seeing their faces.
Okay. Well, very excited to hear some stories from your time together as part of the Savage Crew. Let's welcome in tonight to talk about everything that's going on his end. Lewis is here. Lewis, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? I'm all right. Can't complain. Happy to see my family again. Haven't seen these pages in such a long time. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and share some stories.
Okay. All right. Also here with us tonight, Young is here. Young, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging out, man. It's good to see everybody right now, man. Everyone's smiling, so I'm happy right now.
Okay. Also with us, Linnett is here. Linnett, what's going on?
Hey, you guys. I'm so happy to see my family. I'm so happy to see their faces. We talk all the time. It's good to see them.
Okay. And also here with us is Tara as well. Tara, what's going on?
Nothing good. I mean, everything's going great. So it's awesome to see everyone once again, see their faces, and I've missed them so much.
Okay. All right. We're working on tracking down Michelle. She's scheduled to be with us
Has anyone
tonight.
checked the airport?
If we're able to track her down, we'll also try to get Michelle in there as well to reunite the entire Savage Crew and talk about what's been going on. But I guess first, Murph, can you tell us what's been the reception as the winner of the show?
It's been really good. I've had a lot of chance to talk a lot about veteran issues. I've done Zoom calls with anywhere from fourth grade students to major corporations. I've been invited as guest speakers to just speak to different places about teamwork. A lot of teamwork really is people like, hey, we saw that your team had some struggles at first, so they're really interested in how we talk through our issues and how we got so tight at the end. So it's been really huge. I've probably done at least 30 Zoom calls so far from, like I said, different organizations, elementary school kids. I just Zoomed the other day with the water polo club out of Utah, just talking about teamwork. So it's been great. I got to meet the governor of Missouri. Got to go to the House and the Senate, meet introduced on the House floor. So it's been a great rip. It's been a great advertisement for the show, but it really gets to talk about the team a lot, because that's what people want to know is like, how did you guys overcome so much to become so close at the end? So every Zoom call, I get to relive that experience. It makes me miss these guys even more.
Linnett, you said that you're back here with your family. That were you expecting that to have this experience come out of the show where you have this really tight knit group?
Oh, absolutely not. We all came out there as strangers, and we didn't know each other's personality, and basically, I'm asking basically strangers to trust in me to be able to be a part of a team and not to lean on me as though they were doing it themselves. They rallied around each other, and we rallied around each other. Excuse me, like easily. It was so easy, and regardless, we were able to talk about the difficult things with ease, without judgment, and that made it even better to be able to come together with strangers and end up having such a care and a bond to the point that they went past friends to a family extremely quickly was a blessing. It was priceless. It's irreplaceable.
How often, as a group, do you catch up like this? Is it mostly one-on-one, or you do any sort of like a group chat like this?
We mostly do group chat basically every day.
Every day?
And,
wow.
And it was pretty much every day right after that. Like we really do talk to each other, and I'm pretty sure we do talk to each other on individual stuff because sometimes we need to talk privately amongst each other. There are sisters and brothers and stuff like that. But for the most part, we come together on our group chat. We call it family, and we love each other definitely.
What was the experience like for some of you watching it back? Speaking of that group chat, because I can imagine, like, you obviously all went through a lot together, but I can imagine like a lot of that group chat throughout the season was just reacting to the episode, whether it's like reliving memories or seeing things from a different angle.
Oh my gosh, we're sorry. We didn't know it was going to be that way. We're like embarrassed. Like, oh my God. Deal about it. But I must say, I almost did cartwheels. Like, my kids, didn't know who was going to win. And when Murph won, my son said he should have videotaped this. I ran through my house. I ran outside. He didn't know why I was going crazy. But I went crazy.
It was awesome to watch the show, and then you knew that we cared about each other. But then when you hear, like Young talk about maybe talk about Tara and all that stuff, we didn't get to see until the show aired, and then, like, that's how you really know you care about each other, because of all the off-camera stuff that we didn't get to see. You get to see it, and like, man, our bond was definitely tighter than what I even thought it was when we left.
Tara,
was there a moment when you all realized as a team that you had bonded, or was it something that kind of snuck up on you?
To me, my favorite episode and the one I watched the most was the moving challenge. Because watching the door shut and hearing and listening to all of us scream and shout and the emotion, to me, that's when I really felt that we had completely bonded 100% as soon as that door shut and we celebrated that comeback victory. And that's still my favorite episode. So when I do these Zoom calls and people want to know about teamwork, I'm like, watch the moving challenge before we Zoom, because then you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Do you feel like that it was necessary for you guys to fall into such a big hole to ultimately end up coming out and come out tighter on the other side?
Personally, I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, for us to be able to get vulnerable with each other and yet have so much respect for one another and let them know, like, hey, during these situations, this is how I felt, or how, communication was, or anything like that. It made me feel like definitely like now we're getting a lot closer to be able to be vulnerable with people that I haven't been able to be vulnerable with before. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Do a lot of you have relationships with the Dirty Hands people also?
Yeah,
not necessarily, no. Only through Instagram.
All right, no for Lewis.
I actually don't. I don't personally have any communication with any of them. It's just talk to in the group chat with my Savage crew. And I'm just being as real as it gets and just being as transparent as it gets. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, they post a picture and I may like it, but, you know, that's about it. That's how far as it goes. There's no relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I adore Melissa. Melissa is a sweetheart, and Melissa and I are pretty cool. So I do conversate with Melissa.
Yeah. And Murph, you do as well?
Yeah, Danny and I message each other occasionally, and then the only person I really don't talk to much is the big man from St. Louis, just because he's never on his phone or on any kind of social media. So Lee's about the only guy that I haven't talked to since the show aired.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
heard of him.
right.
I was gonna say, I mean, if we're talking about cross-team communication, I just cannot imagine being in the same, I don't know, mile radius as Roofer Lee, let alone like actually competing alongside him and standing in the peanut gallery with him as he talks about probably all the different stories that he has.
Yeah, he's definitely a good man. I enjoyed getting to know him and just his humor. And I'm actually supposed to drive up to St. Louis hopefully in the next couple months just to see him, because we only live like 3 hours apart from each other.
Murph, could I ask you about the relationship that you had with Danny on the show? Because the show really painted out that you two had this rivalry back and forth, where that you sort of like realized that he was a person that was going to really be giving you a run for the money, literally in this show. Did you feel that way about Danny throughout the course of the show, that he was probably the person that it was going to end up coming down to you and him?
I think Danny's, from day one, Danny is like an ultimate competitor. I think anything Danny does, he competes, whether or not that's racing the kids to the refrigerator or racing us in the wheelbarrow. I mean, he set the tone on the very first challenge. So I think all of us knew that he's going to be somebody that's going to be tough to beat. And then he never sits still. I mean, the guy's always moving around, always full of energy. So he's definitely I think whatever Danny does in life, he tries to do it faster than anybody else.
Well, you spoke about putting that team together. I would actually love to ask Lewis, because I mean, the reason why the five of you are here right now in this configuration is because of Lewis. What was it about like this particular group of people that made you want to pick, you know, this particular set and put them together in this team?
Honestly, it was just like based on intuition and just, you know, interaction that we had, the little interaction that we had, because we couldn't even speak to each other, talk to each other during or, you know, before the show. So it was just basically an eye intuition and just, you know, seeing what everybody, you know, brought to the table and their character and what they stood for, their background, upbringing. So I feel like a lot of the guys, or some of the guys that, you know, and the girls that I told for the team, we kind of, you know, have a lot in common, you know, a lot of adversity, a lot of, you know, trials and tribulations that we went through. So yeah, I think that was, you know, for the most part, that was it.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. A number of times that people from the Savage crew had to go up against each other in the head-to-head competitions at the end of the shows. And then having to compete against one another and then also function as a team, was that something that was hard to wrestle with?
Nope, it was probably the best thing ever. We rather lose to each other than the other side. It was
that's interesting.
It was good for us.
I mean, that's how I felt too, is when I had to go up against Young, like very emotional up to that point, and then like just looking over at him and seeing his smile and he just giggled. I'm like, okay, this is it. I wouldn't want to go out to anyone else, but I'm going to try my hardest. But I don't know, just knowing like, okay, I wouldn't have wanted to lose to anyone else, you know, like,
right.
I don't know.
Like if I'm going to get beat, let it be by somebody that, you know, I feel like, let's just be real, you know, we had the camaraderie, so it's like we feel like it's okay, we want our teammate to be in it, you know, we want to rather go between us instead of on the outside losing to someone else to just
exactly
feel better.
That's really interesting. Yeah,
feel
because I think you can imagine on one hand, it's like, well, this is going to be an awkward van ride. But I think Tara brought up an interesting point of like, I don't know, maybe it like reduces the pressure a bit that like the person I'm competing against is my friend and my teammate. And so, yeah, if I do lose, that sucks. But at the same time, like this is a bit of like a friendly match we're having where we're putting up electrical wiring or we're pushing a push car down a railroad track. You know, those things you do in your leisurely time.
We weren't really friends then. And for me, that's going against Young made all the difference. I was highly upset when it happened, but I feel like if it was somebody else on the opposite team, they wouldn't have come and rallied behind me, and I feel like it wouldn't have mattered as much. The idea that Young was the one who beat me, and then he was the first one down there. You know, for me, it showed camaraderie, even when he didn't have to. It's in the beginning of it. He doesn't know me as well, but he already showing me, you know, his loyalty. So of course, I'm like, it pumps me up. It got me hyped. I'm like, I'm gonna give the exact same energy that they're giving me. And when I saw them come for me, I was like, oh, look, I got y'all back to the end. Let me give you what you're giving me. Let me show you as much love as y'all showing. You don't know me, but let me hype y'all up on what you do for me.
And Young, you were the king of overtime this season. Did it get easier as you did more? Did you find that there was less pressure the more times that you were in the overtime?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the overtime. It was fun. I mean, it was just more fun to just kind of do everything that the show involved. So I just loved overtime. It was fun. But going back to what you were saying, going against each other, only people I was ever worried about in the competition was my team. So I wasn't worried about any of the other 6, not talking trash or anything, but I honestly thought the people I would have to worry about winning the individual challenge was everybody on my team. So, I mean, because, you know, just listening to them, hearing their drive and everything, I'm just going, man, they got that how me and my friends say, they got that dog in them, you know what I mean? So they're not going to quit. So I was more worried about people on my team. And like Linnett was saying, I mean, we all had our backs no matter what. There was one episode where Linnett said, we better not have 2 Savage Crew people go in overtime, and you know, Murph and I went into overtime. So he was just laughing about it, but you know, whatever.
I've been so intrigued to know, does anyone have any fun or interesting stories as to why they applied for the show? Because I mean, this show, you know, we've talked with Phil a number of times. He's all about like getting normal people from these careers that might not necessarily apply to usual reality shows. We heard the Lee story before that Phil told us, but
once or twice we heard it.
Exactly. Do any of you have any sort of interesting stories as to what got you to want to stand on stage with Phil Kogan and do burpees until you pass out?
For myself, I never went to an open call. I did mine all online. I had a friend who is an iron worker as well, and she applied, and she's like, hey, you need to apply too. A bunch of us are going to Vegas. Let's all go. And I didn't go because my kids had a bunch of sporting events that weekend that I was not about to miss, just for a chance to be on a TV show. And come to find out, I was one who was chosen for the finals and had to compete from there too. So for me, it was interesting because it wasn't like, hey, I want to apply for a reality TV show. I just was like, hey, let me apply and see what happens. But at the end of the day, I'm here with my kids, and yeah, so it was interesting for me at least. But I wish I would have gone to an open call. Seeing like all the footage from that now, I'm like, dang, that was like so much fun.
Party.
But, yeah, right?
I didn't go to one, so.
Yeah, I didn't go to one either. Mine started last January. Out of the blue, some guy from the Discovery Channel said, we want you to be on a show. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I chalked it up as a joke. And so they were putting together a show, and I did some casting for Discovery, and then I guess it just never went anywhere. And then out of the blue, the same gentleman contacted me in October and said, hey, I'm not casting for this, but CBS is doing this show. You need to apply. So he sent me a link, and I applied. And the next day, the casting team shot me a message saying, "Can you Zoom tomorrow?" So mine kind of started, kind of like Young and Tara. Like it was just nothing I was looking to do. It just kind of happened.
Right? If that happens, it happens. If that happens, it's meant to happen. So
I didn't even know who Phil Kogan was until I did the Zoom.
Murph, please. Take it back, Murph. Phil, he's joking. He's joking, Phil.
Yeah, I've heard of Amazing Race, but Phil gave me a hard time because I up until Tough as Nails, I have never watched an episode of it because I just don't watch reality TV. But now that's different. I've made up for it, Phil. I've watched some episodes, so I know what's going on.
Yes, Amazing Race is coming back this month. Have any of you had a lot of experience with watching shows like this? Any of these competitive reality shows? So this was like totally a new experience for all of you?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean-
probably no experience for me. So.
there's only one show I've really watched, and that's a weekly show my husband and I watch. So when he's out of state, we don't watch it until we're together. So now Tough as Nails was like, okay, this is the second show that we have to watch. So
Wait, what's the first show, Tara?
I think it's Catch.
Oh,
Like,
it's a show close to Callie's heart.
yes.
right? But yeah, now I'm interested in all what reality TV has, like competition series. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
But
right.
I mean, it's an interesting point though, because I can imagine. I know that other reality TV contestants have said like when you watch other shows now, you can sort of pick up on, now that you've been through it, what sort of how the sausage gets made in a way. And again, I don't know if any of you have watched shows after the fact, but I can imagine like you can't turn that part of your brain off, right? Of like, oh yeah, the camera's probably over there. They were doing confessionals over there.
Right? Or how many takes did it take for that shot?
So one of the things that I've been curious about is how much in your day jobs now do people either, give you a hard time or at least mention the fact that you were on Tough as Nails? Does it come up a lot at your regular work now?
For me, it does, just because the college did a ton of media during the show, and then it came out in all the publications for the university. So, and like people even tracked down my work email. So fans of the show, I think I got like 1,200 messages.
Wow.
Final. So the college, I definitely get recognized on the university. For one, we're a small college anyway. But I live in a very small community too, so maybe it's a little bit different if I lived in a big city. But being in a small community, it definitely got publicized a lot around here.
Anybody else? Have a lot of Tough as Nails questions at work during the day?
Everybody at my job asked me about the show. Actually, surprisingly, everybody at work was very supportive. They gave me a little trash about the first few episodes with the wheelbarrow and everything, but everything else was pretty cool. I've actually had one call where we were on a fire alarm, and this couple wouldn't go back into their house. And I told them, I was like, you guys can go back in. Everything's all right. And the guy looks at me, he's like, hey, man, you from that show, right? Yeah, that's me. So, and then as soon as I said, yeah, his wife took out her phone, started taking a bunch of pictures of me. I'm going, all right, man. But other than that, I ain't really been recognized like that at all.
Well, we got to ask though, Young. I mean, what was it like the day after your elimination aired, considering the firefighting challenges of it all?
Oh, it was cool. They said I did a good job. They said I represented well. Nobody really gave me too much trash. I mean, you had people that don't know the job that was talking a lot of trash, but I mean, other than that, everyone was actually real supportive. I was actually dreading that episode. I'm like, man, this episode's gonna air. They're gonna give me all the trash. They're gonna tell me, find another job. Everybody was real supportive. That was cool. And they said, at least it was Murph, so.
Murph, I heard a story recently from somebody who had said that they had a friend who had overcome a fear of heights because that of the example that you set during the season. Have you heard that from a lot of people?
Yeah, I had these messages that I've gotten. It took me like 4 to 5 days, but I responded to every single one of them. And a lot of them would just have to thank you for your support. But I had this one lady in particular write me because her son had Down syndrome, and he was afraid to do something. And he told her that he wanted to do it because I could do it. And it was like, it made me cry reading it, just because you never know how you might impact somebody. But I've had a few handful of stories like that, from parents reaching out to me saying their little kid found the courage to do this because of that, or my kid was facing a bullying situation and they decided that they weren't going to be afraid anymore. I had a young man that reached out to me because he was struggling with some issues with life. He was a veteran, and he just said that watching our show week to week gave him hope. And he really he felt like the show helped him like live week to week to get by. And now he's actually in counseling, doing well from what he tells me.
Murph, I will say, anytime that I'm on the iron, for the first time I went up 14 stories and had to walk the iron. All I kept saying is, like, if Murph can do it, I can do it. And I hear each and every one of you, Linnett, being like, are you savage? Come on, just do it. So every single time I walk the iron now, I hear all of your voices, like Lewis saying, come on, Tara, come on. I'm like, yes, I got it.
It's a really interesting thing you bring up, though, Murph. I mean, one of the benefits of, not only going through this experience for yourselves is, like, you have millions of people watching you guys go through this and being able to show who you are and sort of what you represent. I mean, did you have any of that in mind when you were out there, that, like, I'm representing this, or I'm showing people that, they can believe in themselves, or they can, work as hard as they can and get done what they want to?
None of that really crossed my mind. The only thing I wanted to do was stay true to who I was, and then be a good team to my teammates. Be a good team player, be somebody that could support. Because what you saw from Murph on the show is how I was as a Marine. That's why the show reminded me in the military so much, is because, we have a group of people that had to get to know each other really well to perform, tasks. And sometimes those tasks were, well, all the time they were under pressure. So, the show kind of reminded me of being back in the Marine Corps when it comes to getting to know the team really quick so we can get this mission accomplished. But the after effects of the show has been great when it comes to, like hearing the stories from parents or kids, or, a few fellow veterans that have been having some issues. And heck, I've had service dogs donated to me that I've been able, I just have to find a veteran that needs it, to, people donating to the university. They've been out of touch with maybe a veteran organization. They said that they want to get back involved again. I mean, it's been pretty impactful since the show's aired.
It's amazing. Really incredible. Just the response that people have had to watching all of you compete on the show. Do you have any sort of funny stories about some of your like best moments that maybe we didn't get to see on the show? I see like people are giggling already.
Well, we got in trouble a lot, kind of, for
more than dirty hands.
Well,
Young is covering his mouth.
He doesn't want to say something.
We really have to hear this. Like, the more you
Right?
protest,
Because
the more
they're like
hear it.
inside jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely, I feel like we had a lot of inside jokes. But there was one moment with Lewis in particular that I wish that they would have aired. The day that I think it was the morning that we got into the van, the morning of the moving challenge, he just had this like thing about him, and he's like, you know what, guys, we're gonna lead this today. We're gonna win it. I wish they would have played that, because just the tone in Lewis's voice when he said that just gave me goosebumps, and I was like, oh, yes, we're gonna do this. So
Lewis, you called it.
Right?
How did you know? How did you know?
Yeah.
I think
I called it. I called
here.
it the night before on the way home after my lost to Michelle. I actually said, you know what, guys, tomorrow I'm gonna be the captain for the movie challenge, and everybody just like looked back. They were like, okay, nobody questioned, nobody said anything. So like, okay, let's do this. And the next day we just brung it, and from there on, like Murph said, we just built like this bond that was, incredible, and to put it into words, it was amazing to see how everything unfolded, compared to how we were at the beginning of the show to how we ended the show. It was just amazing to see how everything unfolded to that magnitude.
I think one of the funny times for me was when we were in the van, and Michelle is like this hype, this really small ball of hypeness all the time. And early in the morning, we were not really talkative, and she was really upset with us because we would not get hype enough for her, and she basically chastised us. It's like, we need to be more cheerful. We need to hoop and holler. We need to get better. She was like, "What's wrong with y'all?" She was not happy. We were like, "Wow."
Because we're all pretty much like quiet people in the morning, especially on the way to work. We're just kind of just chill, get into our little modes. And yeah, that day she was not too excited with us, but she's like a little mom,
I mein, and her little part, she's like, "Guys, we gotta get
Yeah.
I have a question.
You gotta talk about your story yet?
Was that?
Yeah, I want your young story.
No stories. Oh, I got one. I mean, you should. Apparently, Linnett gets really hyped when she eats Chipotle burritos at 3
Yes.
Not me. This time with the 1 minute eating the burrito. Come on. Are you savage? Are you savage?
I can eat my Chipotle in less than 2 minutes, but I don't talk to it.
Wait, Linnett talks to burritos?
I love it.
Well, see, we have something where we would say, to hype them up. Michelle's the hype lady, but I'm the hype lady too. So, to hype them up, we'd be like, "Are you savage?" And I think I'm gonna ask savage.
So you say, "Are you savage to a burrito?" and then you eat it?
At 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, at that
So
time.
I'm confused now. Is the burrito savage if you do eat it, or is it savage if you do not eat it?
Well, I mean, I couldn't do the 2 minutes. It was definitely a savage time. Anything could have been savage at that time. Everything was savage at that time.
Murph's a big jokester. We went out a couple of times, and he tell the waitress to ask Lewis would go to the bathroom, and then Murph would ask the waitress, hey, when he comes back, can you ask him, is he from GQ magazine? And man, these waitresses were so good, and oh my god,
and they believed it.
And like
he did it twice. He did it twice.
Treats delivered too, like treats like their birthday dessert. He had that for like sexiest man alive. Like it's great. I don't know.
Hit him with the I heart.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's just so fly too.
Yeah, he'd be so tough. He'd be like,
right.
Wow, Lewis.
This is bromance.
I think that was a great thing, because like having sense of humor at a time like that when everybody's competing for $200,000 and the nerves is all over the place. To have people on your corner that can make you laugh and make you feel like hammer, that made the experience so much better. Absolutely, man.
And now you have like several restaurants in the world think that you are part of GQ magazine. I think that's some sort of heft.
I just wonder if any of them watched the show and figured out.
We even said we said we're gonna try to get them entered.
We had some watch parties at the house, and all the ladies come over, and they're like, "Damn, Lewis."
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
I put something on like my IG story about Lewis. I have at least like all the women like, "Hey, is he single?" I'm like, he's not single.
Lewis, is all this true?
You want to see?
He's going to bring a kid in.
Yeah, the perfect timing to bring a child into this
Yeah.
podcast.
I have a question from one of the listeners.
Bring her in. She put me in the spot.
Lindy Steiner says, this is so cool. For all of them, what individual compliment on the show are you most proud of? What was the most difficult task you faced, either physically or mentally?
Who wants to start?
Here, Lewis, you want to change the subject. How about you?
I mean, I think the most difficult part for me was like after I broke my finger, like that. That was like a big point, or a big turnaround, or a big change in the show. So for me to just be able to adapt and having to wear a sling and still be there for my team, giving 100%. To me, that was just the biggest turning point.
Lewis, was there any point in time when during that you would have been unable to compete, or was it just a matter of, okay, you're going to do this, it's just that you're going to have now this big splint on your finger the entire time?
There was a point in time that the decisions told me that I couldn't compete because the finger kept getting worse as I kept competing. But if it was up to me, like I would have just competed in all the competitions. I didn't have a problem. Like I said before, I was willing, to leave it all there on the line and just be there for my team as much as I could.
How about you, Young? Do you have one individual accomplishment you're the most proud of from the show?
So not this. Well, I mean, I'm proud of what we all did, but like how Murph was saying off camera and everything, I've had a lot of people actually message me and talk about their, a bunch of Asian people. They're saying that their kids actually were really happy to see somebody that looked like them on TV. And when I heard that, I was like, like Murph, I started kind of tearing up too. I'm like, damn, I guess, it does make a difference because, like I said, growing up, I didn't have none of that either. Having an Asian American or any kind of Asian really on TV to represent me. So when I heard a bunch of people messaging me, telling me that their kids were looking up to me, I mean, that was pretty big.
How about you, Linnett?
I feel like the whole experience was kind of difficult. Everything that I did was 100%. I was trying to give all that I had at every moment and trying to be able to learn how to deal with other people's emotions and be able to deal with mine also, and not hold on to things when they're disappointed. Oh my gosh, I guess that's probably one of the biggest challenges, where to be able to understand that you're going to have challenges, but it doesn't mean that it's going to continue. And if you don't focus on it and just try to continue to fight through it and try to strengthen your weaknesses, then you'll be better. So the whole time it was a challenge to me. It was definitely lessons learned.
Tara?
And I have to agree with Linnett. The whole experience was a lot of difficult times for myself because when you're not with your team, you're alone. And, so it's like you're in your own head. But seeing how close that we got and being vulnerable with each other and being honest with each other and learning each and every lesson from everyone helped a lot in my personal life as well, that I've learned so much to take home. But my proudest accomplishment would probably be the moving one, because to see how far we came together and to see all the pieces come together out of all of us was just amazing to me. And being able to get those emails from people who have either been in the foster care system and hearing what they've done with their lives, or other women in trades who aspire to be in trades who say, what do I do for the first step? Or, the little girls who their dads are iron workers, and in their local, they've never had a female iron worker. So for that little girl to be like, hey, I want to be the first iron worker in my dad's local that's a female, those just speaks to my heart. That makes everything just so much worth it. Not just the relationships that I've gained with these 5 people, but to see all of that too just makes everything so much more worth it.
What about for you, Murph? What was the hardest part of all this?
Well, aside from the height thing, I would say just being away from the family, because it reminded me of a deployment in a way. Just not able to communicate with them, and then knowing that Shelby was leaving for boot camp, that was almost one reason I wasn't going to do the show, because I knew that she was leaving in July, and that's a whole month I wouldn't see her. But then I asked her, "What do you think?" And she said, "Absolutely, go for it." So, I didn't need her blessing, but it felt really good knowing that she wanted me to go do the show. So probably being away from the family was probably the overall worst part of, I guess, the experience.
So then what was it like when you saw them for that final challenge? I mean, were you expecting that at all? And how did that sort of influence, I guess, the way you went into that final challenge?
Yeah, so I've been asked that quite a few, and it was like an emotional roller coaster, because I thought we were getting ready to go. So your adrenaline's up, you're in the competition mindset, and all of a sudden around the corner they come, and it's like, oh man. Now I go from adrenaline to, I don't think the tears didn't even take but 3 to 5 seconds to start falling as soon as they turned the corner. So it went from adrenaline to, very emotional time. And then before you know it, you have to build the adrenaline back up to compete again. So it was definitely a mixed bag of emotions all at once within the first few minutes.
Murph, on that last challenge in that last day, I have to commend you, because that I said that when we did the recap. I think that was the most physically intense challenge I've ever seen on any of these shows that we've talked about. And I've been watching these shows for 20 years and podcasting about them for the last 10. I can't think of another challenge I've seen that really pushed a person to their limits, like that final challenge of Tough as Nails.
Yeah, it was definitely the hardest thing I've done in a long time. We start, by the time you just get those hay bales through the wall and get them stacked, I was getting pretty tired, but by far the worst part was getting that chain off the ladder.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't even know how much in real time that actually took, but it seemed like that took the longest. It felt like an eternity, because the more you drug, the longer it got, the heavier it got, and then it's twisted and turning. So not only you're tired, but you're having to use your mind to think, which direction is it going? And then, I know that, Linnett and Young had experience because they had to unwrap stuff with the chain. So I was thinking about them a little bit when I was unwrapping it, like, gosh, they had to do it multiple times with all those tools on the rail card challenge. And it was definitely the hardest part of the challenge for me, was just getting that chain unwrapped.
Were you listening to Phil's commentary throughout? Because I can imagine between hearing, oh, Danny, is out far ahead, but then also hearing oh, Danny's struggling sometimes. I didn't know if you just sort of had the blinders on and didn't even think about what Danny was doing ahead of you.
Well, I joke with Young said it best. He said, just ignore Phil. Phil will get in your head, because you'll be listening to Phil and you'll be starting to stress out. So I really focused on Savage Crew's voices, and then I focused on Shelby and Michelle's voices. And then, to be honest, when I started cutting my second piece of wood, I didn't hear anything until I was at the very top of that last container. I just zoned out on the second piece of wood, and I just focused on what I was doing, focused on switching hands, breathing, and then I don't remember hearing anybody's voices until I was up on that container. Phil asked me about that, and I just said, I don't know. I just got so focused that's all I was, because I could see Danny on the corner of my eye, and I saw that I was kind of catching up. So it was definitely mentally time to bear down and focus everything out.
On the subject of just how physically difficult it was that something that you were expecting for these tasks to just be so physically grueling from one task to the next? Because I have to imagine that probably you are not recovered from how tired you are from one challenge before you go into the next one.
I think as a whole, we all went out there knowing that what we were going to be doing was very hard. So I think mentally, all of us had the grit to overcome that. Everybody in their daily jobs, I can guarantee that I bet Linnett and Tara do more physically demanding stuff on a daily basis than a lot of the stuff that we did on the challenges. I mean, some of the challenges only lasted a couple minutes. These ladies are out lifting heavy steel all day long. So, I mean, I know that they're mentally and physically prepared for that kind of stuff.
For the rest of you, what was it like to meet Murph's family and Danny and Miles's family as well? Because, I mean, you talk about the family so much with the Savage crew, but this is your show family meeting the real family. And I can imagine that's an entirely new step in your relationship with them and as a team.
I thought it was great meeting their wives and, Danny's dad and Miles' son, just to see what they're there for and their passion and just the drive in their eyes as soon as they see them too. I personally, I keep telling my husband, if him and one of our kids walked out, I would have just been done. Okay, I don't know what to do now. Just everyone's here, just melted you right there. But at the same time, I could only imagine how much more motivating it was as well.
I know she's not with us right now. Does anybody have any good Michelle stories?
Michelle.
So everybody, we have nicknames kind of for all of us a little bit, but Michelle's nickname is Little Whiplash. Because all of us at beginning, we took turns driving at first. A lot of us, drove, and then one day Michelle's like, "I'll drive." I'm like, all right. So we're in the parking lot of the extended stay, and we're getting ready to roll out of the spot, and then a car probably went through the parking lot a bit too fast, and she didn't see it and slammed on the brakes, and so
we hadn't even left the parking spot yet either.
This is second two of her being behind the wheel, and she gives you whiplash.
Yeah. So little whiplash.
So just right there, Murph, you said, "All right, I'll drive. I got this."
Yeah, I think I don't know how.
Linnet's nodding. Yeah,
but yeah, Michelle's a good lady, that's for sure. She big heart. I guess. Another thing about her is that Phil started joking with her about it, because every time we got ready to do something, Michelle's like, "Oh, I have an uncle that did this. Does this. Uncle Bill does this." So she literally got somebody in the family that has done almost every challenge.
That was the best part about Michelle being there too, is hearing all of her stories of her family members. Now I feel like I know her entire family too. So when we finally get to meet each other and be like, "Oh my God, yeah, that's Uncle Bill,"
Yeah, we got ready to cut up the car, and then she's like, "Well, my son runs an automotive thing," and I'm like, "Michelle, you know something about every challenge that there is. Like literally, she is a well-versed lady. I mean, she's done so much. And then watching some of her Instagram stuff, she's like tearing up chairs and redoing them, resurfacing them, and repurposing them. I mean, I don't think she's ever going to stop.
Yeah, she said her husband had to buy her a power drill.
Right?
Yeah.
Linnett and I always say she's who we want to be when we grow up. So
Exactly.
definitely Michelle.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the van, so what was it that when did you guys like settle upon? Was it just after that Michelle situation? You were just like, all right, only a couple of us are going to drive the van, because I can imagine that's a bit of like an awkward tango at first, right? Of like, okay, I guess we're driving ourselves to these things. I guess we don't know each other, but I guess we can take turns behind the wheel.
Nope, nobody really wants to drive. Murphy got stuck and we were happy with it.
At first, everyone just kind of piled in and kind of just picked a spot, and we were just creatures of habits after that. And so it was like, okay, this is how it's going to be. Like, you're driving. And then him and Lewis went back and forth, but pretty much we're all creatures of habit. Like, they had to ask us to sit in different spots at first too. Like, oh, you guys, like, why do you always go to the same spot? Like, that's where we feel comfortable. That's where we first sat. I don't know,
But Murph, you were such the dad with, you'd be driving the van and there'd be arguments happening back there. I'm surprised you didn't pull out the like, hey, I will turn this van around.
We're going back to the sand factory.
Yeah. We don't.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we had some good conversations in the van, though. There was a few times we got in trouble, though, because the producers kind of say, hey, we want you guys to talk in the van. And one day, we were not in a talking mood. So we pulled up on set, and I know Matt is like, guys, you need to give us something. Like, okay, all right, we've been talked to. We'll do better tomorrow. So, because
I was surprised that there was no poop conversations that was aired, because Young had quite a few stories. They're very interesting stories, but I'm like, dang, none of them were on there.
Yes, the double socks.
Yeah, okay. I was kind of surprised the double socks.
Is it double fox?
Double
socks. No, Tara, take it away.
Oh.
So, as an iron worker, I always wear 2 pairs of socks, because you never know if you're not going to have toilet paper. So, I mean, our porta johns aren't always the nicest. They're not always stocked up. So you always wear 2 pairs of socks in case you need toilet paper. You have a pair of socks. So, yeah. I don't know.
Wait,
I know.
What does that have to do with Young?
Young has a lot of stories, too, that have to deal with.
With double sock? With using sock for that?
No, he doesn't wear double socks. Some of his calls special.
he just shared some stories about his line of work and pulling up to a location, and some of the, for lack of a better word, patients had some issues with their bowels, and he just happened to be the man on call.
Oh, no.
All right, hold on, real quick. Speaking of my words, one of y'all need to change your battery in your smoke detector, because that's all I hear right now.
Who is it? It's very important.
Yeah, this is very important from the man himself. Like, please be
Tara's outside.
As we're talking, I like
Murph's at work.
That chirp going off, and I'm going, man, someone needs to change the thing. And by the way, daylight savings has come up, so change your batteries during daylight savings.
Or in some cases, maybe don't wait that long.
Young with the fireman's plug going on.
Right?
I think we need a PSA in the middle, right? For fire safety tips in the middle. Well,
actually, it's not mine because I'm outside. So
yeah.
That story that you brought up about being approached about maybe being a bit mum. Did any of you guys talk about comfort being in front of the camera? Because again, a lot of you were talking about how this sort of just ended up being an opportunity to present itself. Was there a certain point that you guys felt that the camera just became so natural to you that you felt like you could talk to it?
It took a while. It was very awkward at first. And especially during challenges too, to not notice them there. It took a while for me. But in the van, I hardly noticed them after a while. But yeah, just, I don't know, talking to it's weird, especially during our interviews. Like, I don't know, not talking to a person, but talking to a camera. It was interesting.
Yeah, I would say the very first challenge, because we had met some people from the crew, but then when we walked on set for the very first challenge, you walk around the corner and you're like, oh, damn, there are like cameras and there are hundreds of people out here. Like, I had no idea how much it took to film something. So the first day was a little overwhelming just because, I mean, you literally saw everything all at once within a few seconds. And then Phil's talking to you at the very beginning of the show. And, we're sitting on the tailgates of the trucks or on the concrete, and you're trying to focus on Phil. At the same time, my eyes are scanning all these people, all these cameras. And it got easier as each challenge went, because then you kind of maybe phased them out a little bit. But talking to the camera definitely took a little while to get used to. And the producers, though, that walked you through the interviews made it really comfortable. They got to know you, and you kind of got to know them, so it kind of turned into like a casual conversation.
It was really weird at first too, everyone knowing our names, so you don't have to like introduce yourself, and you're like, oh, like, I don't know, everyone on set knows who we are, and we don't know their names yet. So it's like, oh, hey, I'm Tara, and they're like, oh, we know you. Oh, okay. I don't know. That was weird for me too. Like.
Did anybody in your family give you any sort of like pushback when you said that this was something that you wanted to do, where anybody's like, are you sure this is a good idea? What is this now?
Nah, everybody was pretty much supportive of whatever I wanted to do.
Nobody in my family knew except my husband and my mom, because my mom lives with me. So, I mean, they're both very supportive, but other than that, nobody else knew until afterwards.
Linnett, I have a question for you from one of our listeners. Susie Ann says, how do I get Linnett to tell me inspirational things when I'm feeling overwhelmed?
Well, I have a podcast just like you guys where I'm.
You have a podcast, Linnett?
Yes, I do. It's called L Key Fits Let's Talk. So I do have a podcast.
Give us the name again. What's it called?
L Key Fits Let's Talk.
Key Fix Let's Talk.
Right. It's on Anchor, but I've just started. I do want to be able to be more motivational for people, so I just started my YouTube page. So it's in the making. But
so is this for people or for burritos only? I just want to make sure.
You know what? Just for you, I'm gonna make a burrito video.
Yes.
Yes.
A 2-minute burrito, and all in the background, I'm gonna yell, "Are you savage?"
Oh, that's incredible. Check it out. Nick Fishman wants to know, did you guys all get to keep your Savage crew outfits?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so here on the show, the bag, the helmets, we all were able to bring all that stuff home.
What about the the thing I mentioned in the beginning, the fact those outfits that you wore for the individual competitions? Like, was that obviously that had to deal with your work, but was that given to you by wardrobe? Did they ask you at all, what you would wear and then be able to give that to you after the fact?
That was our work clothes. Oh. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Linnett.
Our work clothes were our individual work clothes from our job. So we brought those with us. That's not props or anything. Like my welding uniform, that was my welding uniform from my job.
So my outfit too was what I wear every day at work.
Yeah. So. Jess had a question during the season about this. Did you have one outfit and then they washed it every day, or do you have multiple versions of the same outfit?
At first, we were told to have multiple versions of the same outfit, but then, because your outfit's never the same, you don't have the same wear and tear in them. We just wore the same clothes and had to wash them in between film.
Oh, so you wash them yourselves?
Yes, but
Yeah.
we washed them.
No, I guess that was the other question, or maybe you just never washed them. But
I'm
No,
saying, was
they
that a
were
bonus
washed
challenge?
after-
Wash your work uniforms?
In your hotel
No,
room.
they were washed.
Is there anything else that any of you want to share about your experience?
I do, and
Yes.
I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
can rebuttal. But this experience, one thing I did come into this, first off, I didn't even know there was a money prize at the end. That wasn't even. I just wanted to be able to, maybe put out there about women being welders, and it was just going to be a great opportunity. I did not expect to have to meet people that were going to change my view of the world or how strangers can approach you. Sometimes you feel like it might be you against the world, especially with my background. Like it was life altering for me, regardless of money or monetary prize or any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
The experience that I had with these people that I love is something that's irreplaceable, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And also, so at the end of the finale, I know that Phil did a little bit of like, where are they now? And Linnett, I know that Phil said you started your own welding business to help support your
Yes.
family. Do you want to give an update on that?
It's called Wonder Welding. I already have 2 welding
What's it called?
machines. I have my LLC. It's an actual business I'm doing, and I actually have some connections with Career Source. We're trying to get some things moving where I can try to educate people to the masses and be able to help minorities or groups that might not be able to get into those fields easy, or give them an opportunity to have hands-on before they even get into it. Something like you don't know what you want to do until you get an opportunity. So we moving straight forward.
Cool. What's the name of your business one more time?
Wonder Welding.
Wonder Welding. Good. I like it.
I'm so interested by the other sort of where are they nows as well, because I know Young, they said that you were working with Asian American tradespeople, given your own background. What does that work involve?
I mean, it's kind of hard right now because I'm trying to get people involved, but with like schools being closed and everything, it's kind of hard to try to find like obviously a public place to talk to kids and everything. So I mean, right now that's kind of on a hold right now because, like I said, it's hard trying to find a public place for a bunch of kids to gather and talk to them. But working on it. But the only other thing I got really is I became an instructor for the next recruit class of for the fire department I work at. So kind of like changing, I don't want to say change their minds, but kind of getting them in that mindset of not even the fire side, but more the mental thing. And that's the big thing about this show too, because there's a lot of mental, toughness you had to go through. And I'm trying to make sure this class that I'm helping, teach, they get that mental in them, because I mean, we could do the job all day, but nobody ever works on their mental health. So hopefully I can kind of like bring that up to them and get their mental strength up.
And I know that Tara, I know they said that you gave a lot of your winnings to supporting apprentices in your union. Was that like always a no-brainer for you? What did that involve?
So going into it, that's what my husband and I agreed on, that because our union helped us out so much that we wanted to give back to them. Right now, it's financially supporting new people who are joining the apprenticeship or the pre-apprenticeship. We do get a lot of people who we recruit right out of prison who show up for their hell day and they don't even have work boots. So being able to buy them their first pair of work boots or pay their membership fee just to get them in the door and show them, hey, I believe in you. So let's believe in yourself and, help you get into the trade. As well as we do get a lot of single dads coming in too that have full custody of their kids, and they can't necessarily afford to take the whole week off or the whole month off and not get paid to do their apprenticeship or their pre-apprenticeship. So being able just to simply give them a gas card to get to and from the hall, that, my husband and I just felt like that was a great opportunity to give back to our community, but also to give back to our local at the same.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really great.
And not to be off topic, guys, but I just found a ladybug that doesn't have any spots.
Whoa, is
Her
that
and the
good luck?
ladybug. Oh my
That's our
God.
thing. That's our thing. The day of
Ladybugs
the
that don't have
final.
spots.
Yes. The
What?
day of our final, we found a
Mhm.
ladybug that didn't have any spots, and that brings good luck. And I haven't seen one since. And one just flew onto my table here, so I was all
Is that
excited.
the mascot of Savage Crew? Is the ladybug with no spots?
I guess so.
Well, hold on,
And the
hold
hawk.
on.
And the
No,
hawk.
I have a surprise also that we have also. Michelle is here. Michelle, how are you?
I'm flustered because I've been grading papers since 6 p.m.
What kind of papers do you grade? Your teacher also?
I'm a 8th grade science teacher.
Oh,
The woman of many talents.
Seriously.
wow.
Well, if there was ever a job that made you tough as nails, I would say teaching 8th grade science has got to be way up there.
Yeah, especially Monday.
For sure. Now, I will tell you, 7th is the worst. I've taught 7th. I taught early childhood through 8th grade technology at a private school, and I taught mostly high school. And then I've jumped in the ring with 7th and 8th grade science, and I'll tell you, 7th, it's hormones in tennis shoes.
Michelle, you haven't taught driver's ed though, right?
No.
Yeah, we heard all about Little Whiplash.
I can't wait to hear the stories I've missed.
Michelle, could you give us the update real quick of how are you doing besides grading the papers?
Well, it's been really strange because even when I got my phone back out in California in January, the first thing I looked at was this teaching position available? And then I saw the email that I lost my insurance at the airport. So it was like incentive to, go back to teaching. I did 5 years at the airport. My anniversary just clicked through, but it doesn't mean anything. There's no hours to get. Mm-hmm. There's no airport hours. So a lot of people, I could work, but for that pay versus my teacher salary, I'm definitely teaching. But I'm like going crazy. I worked in an empty classroom for 4 weeks. Students came back this past week, and they're half there, half at home. And I have 3 computers in front of me trying to understand technology in this old brain. So it's been a riot. I wish I could say my husband's feeling better, but it's really been a bad day for him today. And we're going day by day. So I'm up and down as usual, that roller coaster ride for Michelle.
Well, so Michelle, we heard a lot of everyone else's origin stories as to how they got involved with the show. How did you get involved with Tough as Nails? Did you seek it out? Did you go to the open call? Did someone refer you to it?
It was an open call. It was a funny situation. I've watched Survivor and Amazing Race for years. So I was the one telling them, guys, you don't know how they do some of these reality things. You got to watch out for this and this and this. And they kept, that's Michelle, shut up occasionally, So, but I did go to an open audition in Cincinnati and actually saw Melissa there. And I walked up to her and I said, you need to be on this show. She was just very lively even at the audition. So
okay,
go.
So Michelle, your experience is very different from the rest of your team because nobody else here had any experience watching any of these shows. So now I really want to know what was different about this show when you watched it back.
You mean to be sitting on the couch and watching, or?
Yeah, to be sitting on the couch watching yourself, or having gone through the whole process, have you learned some things that you didn't previously know about reality TV?
Well, I do remember asking the sound editor, and like one day we were up on the roof and we're filming a segment, question and answer segment, and we had to stop for the airplanes going over, and I'm saying, just how much video are you getting? Because I've known about the segments. I've known, I knew every one of us was filming. I knew that there were cameras everywhere. I remember seeing like 100 people watching. The one day I looked out and I tried to count how many people were on the set. I mean, it's a amazing feat. I don't know how Phil does it internationally. That blows my mind. So I said to the sound guy, I says, well, so how much are you filming? I says, what can you compare it to? And he says, take a dump truck full of Lego brick blocks and build a birdhouse. So that just so much footage that they have available to screen. And, those guys would tell you, I hope they didn't catch me saying that about so-and-so, because we all had moments. We all had our moments where, we'd reached our limits. So.
And I know there's obviously been a lot of praise, even in your absence, Michelle. We saw a lot of stuff, even on screen, with like you talking with Melissa and Linda. Was there a lot of like camaraderie amongst the women, considering the roles that you all play in your trades, and you sort of serving as an inspiration of like what you can do, no matter what your size or your gender, etc.
And age. I just think I just was so impressed. What impressed me about the whole group is we all were so proud of everybody. Number one, we knew what it took to get there. And that was a feat in itself. But just, I mean, we bonded when we could push the women. Obviously, you saw that. And like when they all came to me, when I rang that, I called it my school bell. When I rang that bell, and I just said, women, we can do this. I'm so proud of Linnett and Tara, because they are showing that you can be in a different trade. I'm in a trade that's probably 80-90% women if you go with teaching. Airport is really crazy because there's still 70% women. And that's not a good thing, because women are up above and men are down below on the ramp predominantly. And it's still a stereotypical environment. But yeah, we all, I ask any one of them, they'll tell you we rooted for each other in individual competitions, because you wanted everybody to do their best. And that's different. That is definitely different than other reality shows.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the three of us definitely talked about that. And I think everyone talks about that. Even Phil himself, that was by far the biggest difference is, the team competition versus the individual competition. Did you all have any difference from like a mental perspective going from individual to team, knowing that like, okay, I have one big competition to work towards, but now all these other people are still in it competing for the prize?
You guys?
No, I mean, my thing is, we basically made a pact within our words to each other that we were going to fight for each other through all the challenges. So when we were a group, we were fighting as a group. And when we were individuals, we were still yelling and rooting each other on as though it was us out there doing it. We, like she said, we all know how hard it was to get there. And we all know how hard we are working. And, we're doing things that we don't normally do. We were doing things that it's not like we had a clue that we're going to do it beforehand. It wasn't a second, third draft of it or a take of it. It was the first time we're going through it. So we know that we're all doing our damnedest to win, and not just because we want money, or it's because, you know, we want to be able to we're sacrificing our pain and energy to be able to show people that Agents Guide can do anything. Just like Lewis, who wants to show his children, Murph wants to make sure that people know that veterans gonna come hard regardless. Michelle wants to let people know that the little engine, you better watch out and hear her roar. And Terry wants to say, back up and let me show you what I can do. You know, so we all saw what we were there for. We had no choice but to see ourselves in each other. I mean, it's a feeling that came over us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. It was so nice to have the whole Savage crew back together. Michelle, is there anything else you want to say to the Savage crew?
Oh, I miss them. I mean, we just would have loved to have had a reunion weekend with, you know, and I did see that with the other shows. Once COVID hit, they couldn't get that last reunion, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like so sad about that. Maybe next year at the finale, you know, maybe we can hope things are better, and maybe Phil will say, "We'd like to surprise you all and then bring all of us back."
Well, that's actually an interesting. It's an interesting question though, because obviously, luckily, Tough as Nails has been renewed, and you know they're working on season 2. For anyone who might be listening to this that might want to apply, do any of the 6 of you have advice as to either, you know, how to approach being on the show, or just how to like mentally and physically prepare yourself for being on the show?
Burpees.
Yeah.
Bring extra socks, right?
Yeah.
Bring definitely extra socks. I've had a lot of people ask, like, how do you find the courage to even apply? I'm like, you know, everything happens for a reason. So just do it. You never know what can happen. Because when I applied too, I didn't think any of this would come of it, or that I would be part of this amazing family. So, I mean, you're never going to know unless you try, you know? So
yeah, and there's a group of women that I've followed. I think that the group is Crew Collaborative, and they're women in construction. And I've tried to say, find somebody and push to get your message across. You know, and Phil was wonderful with, you know, what do you want to say? You have a voice right now. Go for it. And I loved the editing. I just loved what came across on the set. I haven't seen anyone, I've not bumped into a single person that hasn't said it was such a great family show, and the benefits to support the people behind the scenes. You know, we're not, I don't think any of us is that outspoken where we are, but you know, we have a voice and we're moving forward. I was really happy I got to talk to the cross country team and at the school, at the middle school. And it was, look, kids, you can do anything. Just, you know, personal best. That's one thing about cross country running. It's personal best. And I said, do your best, you know? So it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I'm forever grateful.
I hate to cut in, but Tara, that Team Murph shirt. Oh man, I need one of them. Team Murph.
Right. Well, yeah, Murph's daughter. Love it.
I see it.
All right. Well, let me let me give everybody the opportunity to you know, plug anything else that they're doing. Michelle, where can people keep up with you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that good with the internet. You know, I stare at computers all day.
You have 3 computers.
I know, but that's 8 hours a day. So I come home and grade papers, and I don't want to do Instagram. You might see we had 3 trees taken down, and I got out there and worked with my own crew today because, you know, I could not pick up a chainsaw. So I just I am on Instagram, and I guess I need to say more.
Okay. Michelle,
Michelle,
we're going to
did
call you up
you-
to talk about the Amazing Race in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who am I going to go with?
I don't know.
You have a Savage crew in front of you. Pick whoever you want.
They're all chicken for that one.
None of you would go on the Amazing Race with Michelle?
Sure, put me on your back, Michelle. Let's go.
Oh yeah, me and Linnett would be great.
Just make sure that Linnett is the one that's driving.
Mhm.
Right?
She's the muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very anxious to see that, and I feel for those people who waited so long to see themselves and to hear that story. I know how many fans were waiting, and they're going, "Wait a minute, tough as nails, we want Amazing Race," and we're going, "Give us a chance, give us a chance."
Wow, Michelle, you really have your finger on the pulse on the reality TV fans.
A little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. Okay. Tara, where can people keep up with what you're doing?
I am on Instagram, that1batmom, or Facebook. I'm under the name of Tara Wayne.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you give that Instagram one more time?
that1batmom.
That one bat mom?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with Batman. I have a weird
This is
obsession
Bruce
with Batman, hence the Tara Wayne. Yeah, I really wish I was married to Bruce Wayne, but yeah.
Your alter
Like,
ego.
Tara, don't be so hard on yourself, please. You're a
Bat
great mom.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. And then Linnett, how about if people want to keep up with you?
Okay. I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at LKeyFit, LKEYFIT. Podcast is on Anchor, LKeyFit. Let's talk. I also have
Okay.
YouTube. It's LKeyFit also. So, or just Google Linnett Key.
All right. Do you have a co-host for the podcast, or is it just yourself?
It's myself, but my last episode I had my friend. Her name is Miss 2020. Her name is Tashabi. So yes, I actually do have people.
Miss
come on there.
2020.
Yes.
Has she
She is.
considered rebranding? A lot
Yeah,
of people don't
maybe
like
next year.
2020.
That's what she put out there. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Miss
did you-
2021.
When did she put that out? January 1st that she was Miss 2020?
I don't know, but she's awesome though. She's outgoing. So
Okay, Lewis.
I'll tell her you guys same thing.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Louis P. Yuli.
Okay. All right. Yes, you don't have to go to anybody
Yeah.
else's
Hear me?
Instagram.
Yeah, you don't have to go to GQ or anything to check you out.
Nah.
Next month.
Nah, Louis P. Yuli. That's it. That's the Instagram.
Okay. How about you, Young?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. My Twitter is Boomer3Stacks, and my Instagram is Boomer.3000.
Okay. Now, could you say that one more time? And Boomer?
Boomer, the number 3, and Stacks for Twitter.
Okay, Boomer 3 Stacks. Sometimes people call me a boomer, Young.
Well, Boomer's not the age or anything. Boomer was my first dog that I ever had. So,
Oh, okay.
Boomer.
and my Instagram is Boomer.3000. So the numeral 3000.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Young, and of course, Murph. Where can people keep up with you?
My Instagram and Twitter are the same, KWMurph72, but I'm mostly on Instagram. Twitter is, I still haven't figured it out yet.
A lot. KWMurph72.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we have a visitor as well. Mike, Jess, anything else?
No, I mean, this was awesome. I mean, it's awesome these are people that we've seen on our screens, and we fell in love with this cast and Savage Crew in particular. The true Bad News Bears, the underdog story that everyone had, and culminating with a big win at the end. You all, I just want to thank you all for the entertainment you were able to provide over, 10 episodes and beyond. It's been awesome. And to also pass that on to your family, as Lewis has literally done in passing his daughter in front of the camera.
Right?
Wait a minute. We all have to do the Brady Bunch thing. Look up, look over, look down.
Right?
Does that make young Alice?
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Mike said. I can't believe we got the
like
entire
we're in the
Savage crew
damn
together.
van.
Like this is a very
Right?
yeah, it really is.
Can I ask my crew one thing?
And
Yeah.
I really
Are you savage?
yes.
I'm savage.
Are you savage?
Are you talking to us
go
or the
yell.
burrito?
She's our cheerleader.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. This was so much fun. I'm sure the listeners appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. And I know Mike, Jess, and I are going to all reunite ourselves and talk about the amazing race. Have a draft coming up very soon. So be on the lookout for that and much more on robhasawebsite.com. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
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 Thank you for